started and it's flowing and the fans are getting it loud and clear.
Very well done.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are here with you for the next 50 minutes, and we will be discussing sports in general. Because I know if I start talking about football, then a lot of people will have issues. So let's kick it off this afternoon with the HSBC Sevens. Let's do a conclusion figure of what happened over the weekend at the Nyayo National Stadium. And let's start with applauding KRU.
Oh yeah.
And World Rugby.
Kudos, great job.
For a tournament very well planned.
The organization was amazing. The comments and the feedback from across the board, from the
World Rugby
itself, from local fans.
We have other countries that have actually
from
even
organizers from other nations. Yep. They're like, yeah, we've been talking about spreading this game out beyond the quarters that we've always known, Dubai, London, etc., and taking it to other places in the world and saying, wow, that's a huge leap. Are we ready for that? But then, yeah, the world is proving that the difference between those nations, are the so-called big nations, and the nations referred to as second tier or third tier in terms of organization doesn't really exist. And Kenya really rising up to the occasion. We are indeed ready to go bigger in terms of hosting. If you look at all the tournaments that have been hosted, I'm just stepping away from the rugby itself for a moment, Mariah. If you observe, from the time that we had the World Athletics Junior Championships here in Kenya at Kasarani, that was simply amazing.
That was back in 2018.
Exactly.
And there's a specific reason why I'm touching on this.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I know we'll come to discuss other issues to do with stadia.
Yes, exactly.
And preparedness and everything else.
So from that particular point, you could see the World Athletics, I think back then it was still IAAF, they talked about the fact that this is one of the best tournaments that they've ever witnessed. And we still came back again for another World Junior Tournament. Remember, we also did the World Cross Country here, exactly. Held in Mombasa. And that was also a major success. Coming from that, we've continued, step by step, the WRC returning to Kenya. No regrets at all. There were a lot of fears. Oh, WRC, Kenya, Amaze, can we handle WRC? No. It's become one of the most interesting legs of that WRC series.
And actually, just last year, we renewed that partnership for another 3 years.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so that is going, we are stretching by leaps and bounds. Chan came here and we were amazing. We were perfect. We were better than the other guys who were co-hosting with Tanzania and Uganda. Now comes the HSBC 2, and we've done marvelously. Looking forward to the magical Kenya Open, and also looking forward again in the month of end of March for the WRC. So basically to say, we are ready. Anybody saying, any Ivorian or any other idiot who wants to mention Kenya and say, oh, we are not ready to host big tournaments, we are ready for that. We have our own hiccups and we have our own drama, but we are ready for the world. That's a statement sent from Nyayo Stadium.
Well, we are ready for the world, and I can attest to it because I was part of that Nyayo crowd on Saturday and on Sunday, and I can tell you it was quite a festival. In fact, if you look at the positivity that is coming out of it, there is a lot of feel-good sentimentalism that is coming out from that particular event over the weekend. And I even was watching the president of Rugby Afrique, and he was literally saying that the headquarters of African rugby should be in Kenya. In fact, he pointed out that every time that Kenya has hosted anything, be it any junior tournament, being the African Ladies Championship that we hosted last year, and now being able to host the HSBC 2. Basically what the president of Rugby Afrique said is Kenya is ready to host HSBC Sevens 1. In fact, that's what he said.
Yeah.
He said it's about time this comes to Africa. And to be quite honest, I know even when we had some of the interviews with the greats over the weekend, you had both Kayange and his brother, literally Collins Injera, mention the whole issue about altitude. Now, what I don't understand is why federations will always come up with these altitude restrictions. Yet, for example, for FIFA, Bolivia, to date, still hosts national matches, and Bolivia happens to have the highest ever placed stadium anywhere in the world.
It's an issue. It's a subject that has been brought up, but if you look at it deeply, then you will find that there are excuses. There are excuses which if you look at them deeply, the reasons behind them are economic reasons na ni siasa ya pesa. In short, ni siasa ya dogo. Ni siasa ya dogo na mkulima mdogo kufinywa. That's the thing about it. It has nothing to do with altitude. 2,300 meters above sea level. It's not crazy. We saw Germany here and do very well. Yeah. We saw Argentina here come and play very beautiful rugby. We saw the United States of America playing beautiful rugby. What did they have to do? Did they do something special medically for them to be able to play in Nairobi?
Did they arrive 3 weeks before?
No.
To come and acclimatize?
No.
They just came a week before.
So those are excuses. Those are excuses. We've had football played here, international football played here for decades. We've had the Moroccan teams, we've had the Super Eagles, we've had everybody who's anybody in Africa play in Nairobi, and we've never had that sticking out as, oh, that's a problem playing in Nairobi. No. We know medically that that it can be an advantage for teams that are from high altitude areas playing here. But then the other thing, like when you come to football, Moriah, the one thing that you observe is that our own players jet into the country 2 days before.
Oh, yes.
They jet in at the same time from the European base clubs.
No, they fly in at the same time as the opponent. So they are also an opponent. Naturally, the opponent
exactly. Yeah. So they're all battling the same weather. So that's a non-starter in terms of a conversation.
Well, let's then talk about the HSBC Sevens, because I really wanted us to first of all talk about the final standings, what happened, and what the expectations of Kenyans were. Thige, like you rightfully put it, Germany won the men's pool. They were the gold medalists from the Nairobi HSBC 2 leg. Number 2 was the USA, who beat Kenya in the final match on Sunday evening at 5 p.m. To see Kenya drop all the way to 3rd position. Now, let's talk about the men's team, because to be very honest, I was very proud of them, and it had to take the USA in our final match for us to lose our first match, and I could see the disappointment on the boys' faces. I could see how frustrated they were that they did not win gold in Nairobi, because that is what they had set out to do, that is what they wanted. But just like in any other sport, that final game, which ended up now being the final, I remember we were joking about it that we, as much as it was round robin, we really wanted it to be a game that Kenya and the US were playing for something, and it ended up being that way. So Germany beat the USA very convincingly earlier on in the day. So when the US came into that final game, they had everything to play for. They knew very well that if they won it, they were going to be silver medalists. If they lost, then Kenya were definitely now going to jump up and become number 1. So it was everything to play for going into that last match of day 2 of the HSB Sevens 2, and wow, it was a great match, to be honest.
Yeah, beautiful match. But then Moriah, great match, yes. But then just explain to us this mathematics. You know, football mathematics are quite
they're simple.
They are quite simple. You win 3 points, you draw 1 point, you lose 0. But then now in this scenario, you have 3 teams that won. Each of them won 4 matches. Yes. Each of them lost one match. So what's the difference? How do you separate those guys, Moriah?
Now, how it happens in rugby? Yeah. They look at the number of games that you've won, then they look at the winning margin. So if you close the gap, if say for example, if Kenya that final match that we lost 21-5, if we had lost that match 21-14, we would have gained a bonus point, which meant US would not have gotten a bonus point. We would have been second. So the fact that the USA beat us by a margin that was more than 15, that meant that the US got a bonus point, and that is how they passed us. Now, if you look at how Germany were beating teams, they were beating teams with very high margins. So those high margins were what were giving them that extra bonus point at any particular match. So it is all about ensuring that the gap in points that you gain or the loss that you have, the margin is so tight to a point where you deny your opponent that bonus point.
I think it's a good thing we bring into football, because Jama melimo mtu 6 anaje para the same 3 points. Actually, this is a very good idea. Let's bring it into football. Jamana fight, anafunga 1 goal at the beginning of the game, anapack bus. Anapack bus hapo.
Hizo tunazijua.
Na tunajua hiyo kupack bus. Anapack bus hapo mpaka end of the match. Na another guy anaingia kwa hiyo game mpaka ako 4-0, lakini ana entertain crowd juu anacheza attacking football.
Na bado anakuja anaongeza inakuwa
6, 7, 8. huyo jamaa yenyewe kusema kweli
Anapaka bonus.
haifai wakueti wote wako the same.
I'm seeing Shadi saying no. Anyway, we need to
that's a conversation point.
I totally agree, but now we also need to conclude on this HSBC because I realize the time is really flying.
It's all right.
For our ladies not doing so well on Kenyan soil, they had 5 matches out of the 5. They only won 1. They lost 4. And I saw their coach defending them, saying that yes, they should have gone. You remember we had some of the Lionesses here in studio, and his argument was they should have gone to Spain a little bit earlier, and we agree, because if you look at the men, for example, the men went to South Africa way before this tournament was coming to Kenya, like a month before. So they had enough time to go practice, play a few matches down there, and come back home and still like literally train here. For the ladies, it was a very rushed program, where they went to Spain. Yes, they were there for less than a week. They didn't play enough test matches against big opponents, and when they came back already, it was time for the tournament itself to start.
I looked at Wambua's comment after the loss against the USA. He mentioned something about panicking when they're off the ball, and they just need to be a bit more composed, and maybe the opening round jitters and that being in Nairobi played a role. We also say
it was a final for them, to be honest.
And we can say the same, a little bit of the same about the ladies, but also it's true, the things we are discussing here every time, Moriah, about infrastructure and about financial support and technical support.
But these guys had financial support.
That's what I'm saying. No. Hold on, Moriah.
KRU had financial
support. Hold on, Moriah. Okay. Why then, if they had financial support, why then
send the ladies too late?
Are the ladies going for camp for a few weeks and the Jamas going for camp for a lot more time? It's the same. It's a conversation that we've had related to football. Again, when we are talking about the Harambee Stars and the kind of bonuses they get, the kind of treatment they get, and then you look at the Harambee Starlets, even the junior starlets,
the junior men's teams. We had an under 15 team getting stuck in Uganda, in Kampala.
Exactly. So it's about how do you distribute these resources? What is the merit? What is the criteria? That's a big question, Moriah.
The Sports Garage. Extra.